For years, we lived under our HOA's iron fist. Every little thing had a rule, a fine, or a threat attached to it. But when they dared to raise my fees over something as ridiculous as having too many cars in my own driveway, they crossed a line. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had been quietly buying up properties in the neighborhood for years. I had been waiting, planning, playing the long game. And now, it was time to show Karen, our power-hungry HOA president, exactly who really owned this community. Would she accept defeat gracefully when I revealed my secret, or would she go down kicking and screaming? Let's just say, Karen wasn't known for backing down. It all started with a bright orange violation notice taped to my front door on a Tuesday morning. I knew this was war before I even read the words. My hands tightened around the paper as I scanned the outrageous fine. Immediate fee increase, $500 monthly. Violation, excessive vehicles on property. 3 cars. That's what this was about. Not abandoned junkers, not a driveway full of rusted-out eyesores, just 3 regular, everyday cars. My work truck, which I needed for my construction business. My wife's SUV, which she used for her hospital shifts. And a used Honda we had just bought for our daughter's 16th birthday last month. I looked up and out the kitchen window, and sure enough, there she was, Karen Mitchell. Our HOA president was on her daily inspection walk, pink clipboard in hand, her little measuring tape dangling from her wrist. She stopped at my driveway, pulled out her phone, and started snapping pictures. Again, this was the 3rd time this week. "Honey," she's out there again. "My wife, Sarah, called from the living room. Maybe we should just park the Honda in the garage," she suggested. I shook my head, pouring my coffee. No, we are not hiding our daughter's car, like we're doing something wrong. The garage was already full, Sarah's medical supplies, my work equipment, and storage we actually needed. And Karen knew that. We had explained it in detail at the last HOA meeting. I could still hear her condescending tone as she smirked at me from across the boardroom table. "Rules are rules, Mr. Thompson," she had said, not even looking up from her phone. "Perhaps if you can't afford proper garage storage, this neighborhood isn't for you." Oh, if only she had known. Because what Karen didn't realize, what none of them realized, was that I had been playing a much bigger game. For the past 5 years, I had been quietly buying up properties in the neighborhood through my real estate investment company. Every time a house went up for sale, I scooped it up under a different LLC name. At first, it was just a smart business move. But as the years passed, and I watched Karen's abuse of power grow worse, it became something more. It became personal. As I stepped outside to get the mail, Karen pretended to inspect Mrs. Johnson's rose bushes, but I caught her sneaking glances at me from the corner of her eye. Poor Mrs. Johnson. She was 82 years old and had been fined last month because her roses were too vibrant and disrupted the neighborhood's color harmony. I pulled my phone from my pocket and checked my texts. A new message from my lawyer. Property closing complete. You now own 67% of the development. A slow smile crept across my face. It was time. That night, Karen called an emergency HOA meeting. She thought she was making the next move in her little power game. She had no idea she was walking straight into checkmate. The community center was packed. Every seat was filled, neighbors shoulder to shoulder, murmuring amongst themselves. Karen had really outdone herself this time. She had even hired a professional photographer to take dramatic, zoomed-in photos of my driveway from different angles. On the projector screen, she clicked through her PowerPoint presentation, detailing why my property was a problem for the community. "As you can see from these professional photographs," she announced smugly, "Mr. Thompson's property has become a used car lot." A few gasps came from her loyal followers, the same ones whose Christmas decorations stayed up until March without ever getting a fine. She clicked to the next slide, showing a close-up photo of my daughter's car. This vehicle has remained in the same spot for over 48 hours. Oh, she failed to mention that was because my daughter was home from college for weekend. I watched as the room grew uneasy. Even Karen's most devoted cronies shifted in their seats. They had all been targeted by her at some point. That's when I stood up. Point of order, Madam President. Karen's smug smile faltered. You're not recognized, Mr. Thompson. I walked to the front of the room, setting a thick stack of papers on the table. Actually, Karen, according to HOA bylaw section 7.3, any property owner may raise a point of order regarding voting procedures. The room fell into complete silence. Karen's grip tightened on her clipboard. She knew exactly what was coming. I gestured to my documents. For the past 5 years, my company, Sunrise Properties, has been acquiring homes in this development, and as of this afternoon, I now own 67% of the properties in this HOA. Karen's face drained of color. I let the words sink in before continuing. That means I'm majority owner of this neighborhood. I turned to the other board members. And effective immediately, I'm voting to dissolve this corrupt HOA. The room erupted. Neighbors cheered. Karen jumped to her feet, knocking over her chair. You can't do this, she shrieked. This is illegal. I smiled. Actually, Karen, it's perfectly legal. 3 different law firms have confirmed it. I turned back to the room. No more ridiculous fees. No more harassment. No more 3 a.m. grass measurements. It's over. Karen stormed out of the meeting, red-faced, shaking with rage. 2 weeks later, her house was up for sale. A month after that, she was gone. And just like that, the iron fist of the HOA was no more. The best part? Property values actually went up after Karen left. Turns out, people like living in a neighborhood where they're treated with respect instead of ruled by fear. And me? I still sit on my porch every evening, watching my wife's SUV, my work truck, and my daughter's car sitting in our driveway, right where they belong. And Karen? Well, she moved to a new neighborhood, one with an even stricter HOA. Poetic justice at its finest.